Welcome to the MWA podcast. I'm Kyle and I'm joined by my co-host Sean and Jeff. Today we're excited to welcome as our guest the wood whisperer himself, Marc Spagnuolo. Marc is one of the earliest people producing online woodworking content and instruction, and over the years he's built not just a body of work, but a massive community around learning, making, and sharing the craft. From his free site to the guild, plus a couple of books, Marc is the go-to source for online woodworking education. And of course, fart jokes. So welcome back to the show, Marc.
Thanks, Kyle. It's fantastic to be here, and I hope to drop as many fart jokes as possible today.
Fantastic.
That's what we're
FJPM is the rate we're looking for.
Well, we're excited to get to talk to Marc. It's been what did you say, Sean?
It's like since January 2018.
Since he's been on the show.
Man, that's wild. Long time.
Wild.
That is wild. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Sutherland Wells knows that exceptional craftsmanship deserves an exceptional finish. That's why they handcraft their full line of low and VOC exempt finishes and stains using the highest quality, cold-pressed, sustainably grown tung oil. Their unique polymerization process delivers the deep penetrating, grain-enhancing, non-yellowing protection of tung oil, while reducing the drying time and allowing the finish to build a beautiful, durable film. Sutherland Wells, the timeless look of traditional oil made for the modern woodworker, and use code MWA25, that's the numbers 25, for 10% off your first order.
And we'd like to thank Sutherland Wells for their sponsorship of this episode. And with that, let's give our patrons a shout out. So who do we have to thank this week?
Yep, we like to give that big Patreon supporter a big shout out, and today that particular shout out goes to our good friend of the show, good guy, Rex Hansen. Rex, thanks for helping us out. And if you, dear listener, would like to help out the show, you could do that by going to patreon.com/MWA podcast.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Rex. And let's move on to what's in the shop. So, Sean, what are you working on?
Oh, another episode of This Old House. Marc, if you haven't tuned in the last couple of times, my 22-year-old bought a house.
Oh, okay.
And built in 1917. Forward, we're completely we're gutting it to studs and rewiring the entire thing.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah, when he first bought it, I go, "So are y'all going to gut this to studs like that person across the street from?" Sean's like, "No, it doesn't need that much work.
It should be fine."
Man,
and then we took off the paneling, and then we find improper framing, and then we found framing and knob and tube wiring, and on and on and on and on. Last Sunday. So my dad's an electrician, a retired electrician, and he was going over to help my son out. My son got up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, drove up 45 minutes away where my parents live, grabbed my dad, get to the house. I woke up at like 9 o'clock. I'm literally having my morning cup of coffee, and he texted me, goes, "Hey, Dad, what time do you think you're going to come out here today?" Because I had some framing doodads to fix up. And I said, "Oh, probably 10:30. He goes, "Oh, by the way, the pipes froze. I have no water." I'm like, oh, God. It's like, is anything dripping? Any leaking? Any explosion of pipe that you found? He goes, "No, the toilet's that actually filling, so it's partially good, but where it goes under the crawl space and gets into the house, it's not working." And so a $200 trip to Menards on the way turned into a space heater and a couple extension cords. And it took all day for him and his buddy mainly to get into the crawl space. Literally had to army crawl in this crawl space. It's super duper tight. They found the corridor. It's the worst spot. Like my house was built in the 50s, and just by happenstance, everywhere there's water is not on an exterior wall. It's great. One wall shares the garage, the attached garage, but everything else is inset. The toilet's not against a window, blah, 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 blah. I don't have freezing problems except for maybe where my hoses would hook up. That's the only thing that's close to that. This house that he bought, the corner of what was an addition, because this thing was built so long ago, it definitely didn't have water initially. The very corner of what is the southeast side is a chase of water going up. We can't get to it. We can't see it, except underneath in the crawl space, they could tell that the pipes were incredibly cold. So the heater that I brought was up in the kitchen to try to release the pipes that were kind of above there behind the cabinets, just supply extra heat to that area. Later, they got another heater and put it in the crawl space as close to they could, and after running for an hour, finally got water to drip flow. In the middle of that, we realized, because we got some water, the washer was also filling, so we knew we had water that was very close to the source kind of stuff. I said, "Hey, get a bucket of hot water off the washer feed and try to put it down the sink. Let's make sure," because it didn't look like the drain was working. Well, the drain wasn't working. So we took the entire trap assembly out underneath the sink, got that into a bucket, tossed that outside. In the standpipe going down into basically the crawl space into the city drain was just level standing water right there. I went, okay, go home, get my snake, figure this out. So his buddy ended up snaking it, pulled a plug of ice out of it, out of the drain. And part of the reason is because the drain in the crawl space humps over another line. So you know how drains are supposed to run downhill? This
Right.
one ran uphill about 2 inches and about 8 feet. So they ended up jacking up the corner underneath the cabinet with a 2x4 to level or better slope the drain. It was a whole thing. It's not quite the money pit because it's really small. Like when I say rip to studs, Mark, you would like
How
you built
about
your
rip
garage
down
out
the
in Arizona.
foundation and plumbing?
Yeah, we could have ripped it down. But like when you built your shop
Wow.
down in Arizona, like you got the whole like bear construction idea, right? You had a big old building, right? This is a 14-foot wide original building. When we got upstairs and took the ceiling down because we're just doing everything, the ceiling was held up by 14-foot long 2x4s, 24 inches on center, with
Wow.
no posts.
Jeez.
Amazing. But hey, 1917 knowledge, that must have worked.
Yeah. Right.
Well-
Got the job done for the moment.
It did for the moment, but I can't hang drywall on that. Yeah, it's a lot more going on. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. Jeff, how about you?
Not too much going on. I just continued with my turnings, getting those done, and did a good shop cleanup before I had to hit the road for work. So that's always kind of nice to get everything clean and reorganized. So when I return back, it'll be ready to go.
Yeah. You're still in Kodiak, right?
Yep, still in Kodiak, living
Living
It's
the
the most
dream.
amazing double
Well,
life.
temperature check. What's the temperature in Kodiak right now?
It's like 38 today. It's nice.
My God.
Not too
Yeah,
bad.
so
not
it's-
too
We
bad.
doing this? Come on.
Yeah, but it was a little bit, little bit of a rain today.
Yeah.
It's like a light
Yeah.
mist, just enough to be annoying.
And we all just went through this. Mark, I saw your post about shoveling your driveway
Yeah.
or your parking lot.
Uh-huh.
Bro, it's 11 here. How are you in Alaska and it's 3 times the temperature?
Well, it's the
that's
southern
wild.
part. It's
It's the
Sure.
southern part, yeah. It's near the
Yeah,
Gulf,
so-
like me, you know.
well, yeah. It's like it's like being in Hawaii. It's the second largest island, so
Yeah.
in the United States. So it's yeah. So what you
So-
got going on in the shop, Kyle?
Well, before we do that, one thing I've been meaning to ask you, and I forgot to, is what was it, right before Christmas? You went over to Germany and you
Yeah.
visited Dictum, and I wanted to ask you about that. Mark, that's like Woodcraft, Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
what's with all the? I haven't been keeping up, Jeff. What's with all the world traveling we're doing here, just in
Work.
general?
But just
work.
a good
Yeah.
times, lots of laughs. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Banking
gotta-
money in short
just gotta
shifts.
enjoy the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. For its day job, he, flies out to Alaska for 2 weeks and then flies back.
Okay. Very cool.
So,
Yeah.
So how was Dictum? Tell me about that store.
So the one outside of Munich is a little bit different. That one's like Munich is it's pretty busy little area. So this one's is kind of a small little, I guess the best way to describe it is like a shopping mall type of area, and it's up on a second floor. So you'll see Dictum big sign, and then you kind of go up in there, and then they got one side is like more like a festool area, some turning tools, and then the other side's all hand tools. And so they got all kinds of stuff in there. They got anything from people that just do Sloyd stuff, just carving stuff, to splitting out, and then just all different kinds of like weird
So did-
Lee Valley stuff.
Well, that's what I was wanting to know. Do they have like Lee Valley planes and stuff like that? I assume they got a lot of
They do. They have Lee
different
Valley
stuff that we don't get. Maybe some of the upscale Chinese made stuff.
Yeah, well, what I was really surprised about, they had a Dictum, they had a nice wooden hand plane, and then it had a Hawk's blade in it. So, and it was only I think it was like $40 US or something like that. And I was like, oh, this is in the budget. I was like, I can squeeze this. I got that, and then I got a couple, which I was really impressed with the spoke shaves they had. So they had a nice rounded spoke shave and a flat spoke shave. I got that. Got a couple of tools, and the biggest thing I got is I wanted to get a and I've seen it for a long time. They had I think it's either 2 inch 2 1/16 or 2 inch for tapping threads for doing a workbench. threads. So I kind of had this idea to make a smaller bench, and I'd like to make one for copper too. So at some point, so I would kind of make just to make the wooden screws that we went on a trip to Germany and we got it there, and kind of neat.
Yeah, because I know some of their locations, they teach classes. I think Chris Schwartz has
Yeah,
taught
so
it
the
some.
one
Yeah,
that's about 2
yeah,
hours north of Dictum. Now
yeah.
that location, we did go there. That place is like huge. It is like
Mm.
really, it's incredible. They got everything you can imagine, and then they have some really cool smaller workbenches that are made for carvers that like scale up, and then you can hold it, and then they got the other side of it.
Mhm.
You can do some other carving and stuff on it. It'd be cool for like seat carving,
Yeah,
doing stuff like that. But if you were doing a lot of that, I wouldn't suggest anyone like just to get that. But it was a cool experience. I enjoyed it a lot. I
yeah,
spent like I spent like 3. It's funny how much time you can spend in a woodworking store and not really buy anything, but just just look
yeah.
around and ask questions and talk. It's just like I burned like 3 hours.
Yeah, see, it would be like that in Highland or like Dictum because I've never been to either, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Same.
like if I have to go into a Woodcraft or Rockler near me, it's like in, out. I know exactly what I want. Boom, boom. Because when I was just starting, of course, I would spend
Right.
hours in there. But now it's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of sad sometimes when you go, I don't really need any tools. I'm just here for some hardware or something like that.
Can you imagine? Now I'm looking at the website. This is impressive. It reminds me of, I know you said Woodcraft, but it kind of reminds me of Lee Valley.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have
Yes.
all the
Yes.
like hunting,
Yeah. Well,
gardening, all that stuff.
yeah.
Well, yeah, they got
Well,
all
I didn't want you to veer away from your sponsorship.
Well, this is not the sponsored show. It's okay. But no, this is impressive. I'm even looking at some of their finishing stuff. They have all these different hard waxes that you
Mhm.
can use if you want to make your own finishes. They've got some really nitty gritty stuff here. Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
I've bought a couple of things from them in the past, and the shipping wasn't too horrible.
But
So,
my
yeah,
favorite part of that whole Germany trip was just the street food,
of course.
food and the Christmas market,
Yeah,
and being there at Christmas time. It was cool. It was so sweet.
yeah. I need to do something like that too. Yeah. My wife, I'll drop her off at the Christmas market because she loves that. Go, where's the nearest Dictum? I'll hang out there anyway. But,
Oof.
well, for me, I've just been, I don't know, relearning Fusion 360. I got that new 3D printer. So I've been messing with that. My wife got another toy. And what was hilarious is when I first picked it up, they were like back ordered because I got the newest one, which is the Bamboo Lab PS2. And they were back ordered. And I was like, let me wait another couple of weeks and see what the back order status was. And it kept getting pushed out. So I went, let me just go ahead and order it. So I came in. And of course, then it sat in the box for about a week and a half before I unboxed it. So I really didn't. But anyway, so I've had to relearn Fusion 360. I was pretty competent in it about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago when I was doing a bunch of stuff in it. And then I kind of stopped. And so then I had to pick it all back up. And I'm just going through a 30-day learning course. I think I'm on, well, they have lessons for each day, but I'm getting 3 or 4 of them in a day. And it's like, I should have done this a long time ago because I learned some new tricks and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat. But I think Fusion 360 is now just Autodesk Fusion. I think they stopped the name Fusion 360. I think it's
Well, that
Okay.
that
Yeah.
whole moniker just
yeah. Well,
is not cool anymore.
they got like 3 things. They got Tinkercad, which is mainly for kids, I think, and doing
Mhm.
basic stuff. And then they got their Fusion product, and then of course their AutoCAD for the top
Yeah,
end.
Fusion and
Yeah.
AutoCAD were kind of different animals. AutoCAD
Yeah.
obviously was the first started with 2D design and then 3D kind
Mhm.
of like the graphic design. Fusion is that more like jazz kind of design where you can just kind of throw stuff at a wall, tweak its dimensions, and call it a thing.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff. Like today on one of the tutorials, like I imported a image and then traced that image and then got that into a 3D shape.
There
And
you
you
go.
were able to dimension size everything. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. I heard y'all talking about that on Wood Talk, and I was like,
Yeah, I mean, some of us we're still hung up on
Yeah.
SketchUp, and especially when you get into things like, I mean, in my shop, we've got a CNC, we've got a laser, we got 3D printers. There are better programs that communicate better with those, those
Yeah.
pieces of equipment. And I've yet to really sit down and learn it. Have Bob from I Like to Make Stuff has a course on it, and I've owned it for years, and I've started it so many times and just never quite finished it. Just sitting down and learning software at this point in my life is really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Maybe
See, and that
someday.
was for me when SketchUp was coming up, and I used it for a while, but I have such a strong background in AutoCAD. The
Mhm.
controls were completely different between those two. It was incredibly hard for me to do SketchUp, purely because command base. I could dance on a keyboard and do AutoCAD, but because of the reversed kind of like information system that SketchUp uses, it was arduous.
Yeah, but it's still pretty pricey. I mean, they have a free program, and to your point, I think y'all brought up on that show is like, how long is it going to be free? Is and that
Big
kind of
Yeah,
question.
you never know.
Yeah,
never
and we
know.
use it technically for commercial purposes, and as I understand it,
Yeah.
the free version is for personal use, so
Yep.
we'd still have to have a license anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like
they're
600.
not cheap.
It's like $680 a year or $84 a
Yeah,
month.
more
Yeah,
more
at
than
that
the
point.
SketchUp license.
Yeah, and you just got to make it make sense. Or if you can still use your kid's educational email,
Right.
you get it for free.
Now you're thinking, all right.
Find someone that doesn't care and
Trying to
use their
think, do my kids have
.edu.
emails yet? Oh, I don't know if they do. They're
You
still young.
should. They do. Your school email has to be something .edu.
I don't know.
Well,
I have to check.
the guild is technically a school. You just need to get an edu,
Yeah.
the woodwhisperer.edu.
There you
Okay,
go.
all
Or
right, yeah,
whatever
let's
the
give that a
whatever the
shot.
regulations are. It used to be edu. That was a way to get free licensing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Was be
Nice.
like, hey Microsoft, no, I'm at Toledo.edu,
Yes.
and it worked.
But with that, Mark, what are you working on in your shop?
Oh, well, I'm trying to get a towel rack done, as simple as it sounds. We have a little metal towel rack in our bathroom. We don't have a whole lot of good storage in there, so towels are the one things that just kind of like we don't have a good place to put them. So we bought a cheap Amazon purchase, just a wall-mounted rack, kind of like how they fold them up and roll them up in like a hotel. So you just kind of put them on these things, and it's just cheap metal. So like, you know what? We need, first of all, we need more levels to it so we could fit more towels. But I'd like to make something like this out of wood. So each level isn't really a shelf. It's like just a simple frame. So I figured like a U-shaped frame. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I can do some bend lamination for that. So it's a pretty severe bend because it's two 90-degree angles in like a 10-inch space. So I set out to kind of make the template for that and cut the laminations pretty darn thin. It's only a 1/2 inch thick, and I divided it into like 11 laminations. So
Wow.
that's a lot, but
Yep.
thankfully I didn't get any breakage. I mean, I probably could have tested it, maybe go to 10 and see if it still bends.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to push my luck. Plus, I don't want any spring back. So after it was done, these things are locked in at 90. There was 0 spring back. So I'm like, all right, I'm
Cool.
not going to fix what's not broken. It's just fine. We'll stick with 11. So I got to do some of that. And then today, sometimes my day just goes in a very different direction than I thought. I have to film we have a series that we do once in a while called Ask TWW, where I take user questions and I answer them like in a very thorough way and do demonstrations to answer the questions. So today was a hodgepodge of just running from, one little setup to another, kind of making mock setups to answer questions, which kind of is just ADHD sort of day, trying to figure out what I'm actually doing. I got it done, so I hope to return to the towel rack tomorrow.
Excellent. Now,
Well,
when
so-
you mentioned towel rack, that was my first thing that came to my head was the cantilever of it all. Like, how are you attaching this from the back? Because what I'm envisioning is something that doesn't really have sides. It's just kind of jutting out from the wall.
Pretty much. Now, obviously, with metal, you can get away with this.
You can get
a
away
little
with that.
bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So with wood, we have to be a little more careful. So it's going to have two 3/4 inch back, well, either two back spines, like one on each side to catch the back of each of those rungs, or just one solid piece. I might find just something that has a good visual interest or a lot of sapwood, just something super cool looking, as long as it's wide enough that I could basically notch the sides. So this way those rungs will sit in a notch.
Just
So my
sit
hope
in there.
is like covering 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch deep would be enough to hold the weight, and it's just a towel. So as long as we're not press fitting them in there and they're not putting too much pressure on each other, I think it'll probably be okay.
Right up until one of the kids does a pull up.
Yeah, so when he decides to use it as a ladder, that might be problematic.
That's different. So elevate it. Don't bring it to the floor. Make sure it's just above the toilet.
Yeah, it's already pretty high and kind of over the bathtub, so it's kind of hard to get to in a first place.
Yeah, there you go.
So you might have mentioned this and I missed it, but what species of wood are you using?
This is walnut.
Walnut? Okay.
Wow.
Only because that's what I happen to have and I like using it.
11 layers bent laminate walnut.
Yeah, each one was, I think, around 0.045 inches. I had at that point I abandoned fractions. It's like using
Yeah, just
calipers.
decimals.
I don't know what the fractional equivalent is. It's pretty small though.
Yeah,
Very thin pieces.
that's
Yeah.
wild.
Were you able to do those on your planer, or did you have to run them through a drum sander too?
Definitely through the drum sander. So they were right off the bandsaw. Joint the face, hit the bandsaw, make it as close as I could, and then just a couple trips through the drum sander, and then they're ready to go. That thickness, I don't think even. I mean, you probably could with a platform. Bring it
Yeah,
up
that's
high
what I
enough
was
that
thinking. Yeah, I've done that
even-
with a platform. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to that thickness though, even with a good planer, like it still gets a little bit dicey
Yeah.
when you're that thin. So I'd be scared to
Yeah,
do it
good
that way.
point. So is this something you're filming, or is this just okay?
Yeah, this is just going to be a YouTube project. I spent a lot of time doing. So we can get into this later when we talk about like how business is going. But I spent a lot of time doing ads as we're going into Black Friday and a holiday season. Right after that, I needed to like mentally recover. And one of the things I do that kind of helps me settle my brain a little bit is like a shop improvement sort of thing, whether it's a rearrangement. So it's kind of due for a rearrangement. I spent a couple of weeks doing that. Once that was done, though, I was like, man, I got to find a project like fast, something I can record quickly, capture, and get on YouTube and get that process going again. So that's what the towel rack is. It's not too complicated, but just like, bougie enough to be like, it's just a towel rack, but let's make it really cool if we can.
Yeah. Well, I know most of our guests that we have on here, we ask them, hey, where'd you grow up and how'd you get into woodworking and those type of questions. But I think everyone knows your backstory. At least I
Some
hope
people
so.
might know. Yeah.
But one of the questions I have is, how did you get into woodworking in the first place? What initially inspired your interest? Was it a childhood thing, a teenager thing, or what?
Yeah, I think I was always the type of person. Well, basically, my stepdad was really handy. So you guys are talking about repairing an old house. Well, we had wasn't quite that old, but we had a house that had some problems, and my stepdad would address those issues. And I saw that, like, hey, you could fix this stuff yourself. You don't have to always call somebody to fix things. But we put an extension on our house, and he did all the framing. And not that he didn't really show me things; he was just getting work done. But I think it's seeing that modeled behavior that I think planted a seed that maybe this is something that I'd be able to do for myself when I got older. So I think by the time I got to the point that I was driving and working, I was making subwoofer boxes to try to damage my hearing in my truck. I was really into reptiles, and I would build enclosures because the enclosures you could buy were really expensive. So I would build large enclosures for things like iguanas, started building those I worked at a PetSmart for a long time, and I would build them for customers because they would hear that I made one, or they were looking for one too. I mean, this is just like, I don't know, 1x3s and chicken wire from Home Depot. But, for someone who needs a big cage to put in their house, it would work. So the enclosures, that was probably as far as it went. Went to college, eventually got to California. It wasn't until Nicole and I were married, bought our first house, and it was a fixer-upper that we started to do projects around the house. And also just to kind of kill time, I would catch episodes of Woodworks and New Yankee Workshop. And prior to that point, I never really even saw those, but it was something like, that was back in the TiVo days, so I'm capturing every episode I can on TiVo. I mean, I think that's what inspired me, was doing some of these house projects required me to get some tools. And once I had those tools, after the house projects were done, I was like, I could probably do something else with this. Maybe I could build some furniture. So those shows were really inspirational to making me realize I could use the existing tools that I have and make some pretty cool things. So that's kind of what opened up the larger scope of like, wow, I'm really into this woodworking thing. This is more than just like a passing interest. So that was probably, I would say about 2004 was when all that went down. That's kind of how it all started. And then from there, it just went into changing careers, moving to Arizona, starting the Wood Whisperer, kind of all happened between that 2004 2006 timeframe.
Well, with that, what led you to start producing the online content?
Yeah, so around 2005, we had moved to Arizona. I was trying to pick up clientele, trying to just make money. It was really tough. There was a period of time where Nicole was traveling a lot for her work, and I was bored. So she left me with a iPod video. So it was when iPod had been out for a while, but the video version came out, right? So she left one that was supposed to be something she did, like she bought magazines and got this thing for free, and I was poo-pooing it. But she left town, so I'm left, and I'm kind of a geek, so I'm like, I got to play with this thing. So I start downloading some of these new video podcasts. And it's so funny because right now we're recording a podcast now, and many people will do a video version of that podcast, which now can be called a video podcast. But back in 2006, a video podcast was distributed just like this audio is via RSS. and people would
Mhm.
download it in a podcast catcher or podcast app. So it was called the video podcast at the time. So I would watch like tech video podcasts or all these other topics, but it was almost always tech or just pure entertainment, comedy, things like that. And it was just immediately obvious to me that no one was doing this with woodworking. So, business was slow. So I figured, you know what, maybe I'll just see what happens. If I can make videos, maybe educate clients on why furniture costs what it does so they could see what goes into it. Let me try to document some of these builds and just see what happens. And that kind of just obviously changed my career and my path forever at that point was just by experimenting. So that was where online content was just a curiosity and then hopefully was going to bolster my business. It wasn't until maybe a year later that suddenly it was pretty clear that making content for woodworkers was going to be so much more fruitful and something that I could monetize compared to making content to prove to people why I should charge them a lot for a table. Turns out the reality is most people just kind of don't care. They got a price they want to pay and they don't care how much work it took. They're either going to pay it or they're not. So, But
Right.
communicating with other woodworkers, I'd share some of those videos that I made for clients and I would get such good feedback in the forums that it was like, yeah, this is fun. I should do a lot more of this. So it wasn't for a while till we realized that maybe we could actually make a business out of that purely and that I don't have to keep making furniture for clients if I didn't want to.
Yeah, that makes some sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got into woodworking about a year or so before you started doing content.
Okay.
Well, I would have been much more successful had I waited a year and not bought the initial tools I bought. But anyway,
Nice.
but Wood Talk is the reason I bought an iPod to begin
Oh,
with.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
It's
we're
like,
talking early days. You guys too. Like you've been around for a long time as
Right.
well.
Mhm.
Things have
because that
changed a lot.
yeah, because y'all came out. I went, I heard like the first episode on my computer at work during lunch.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh man, I want to listen to this again. I guess I need to get one of these iPod things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Figure
once
out how that works.
that was a game changer for me. Like I
Yeah.
like music, but I would listen to music on speakers in the shop.
Yeah.
It wasn't a personal device thing that I was really worried about.
Right.
But once we could get shows and they were so different than anything, just the idea of an audio podcast about the geekiest, most niche topic you can think of, it was so appealing. And it was also very hit or miss. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's still kind of like that today.
Mhm.
But that was the magic of it, was that I could actually fill my ears with really interesting information from deep down in some niche, whatever it happens to be. So
Mhm.
why not bring woodworking to that
Yeah.
too? So I think it was 2007 was when I had discovered Matt Vanderlist doing his Matt's Basement Workshop
Mhm.
audio
Mhm.
show.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, it's like you and me. Like we're the only ones. Maybe we
Yep.
should do a show together. And that's where Wood Talk came from.
Yep.
Now,
That's
do you
crazy.
still keep up with Matt V?
A little bit on Facebook. We
Okay.
cross each other's paths virtually, but he got very busy with his work and with family, and
Yeah.
we don't really communicate directly that often. But I've got backup Mats, so I
Yeah,
I
that's
go to
right.
the next one.
That's right. I still miss the router bit of the week or the month.
Oh my God, he
Yeah.
was one of a kind though. He was
He's great.
and is continually missed on the show.
That's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
So like Mark, I found out about you through, I think it was a popular mechanics magazine.
Really?
I think it was a write-up that I was reading on the way to like an Easter thing with my
Oh, no kidding.
parents
Okay.
back in like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, I mean, I was downloading podcasts on my Palm Pre.
My God, nice. That's great.
Listen to that stuff. And then like one of the second or third WIA I was in the same hotel room with Vanderlist. Like on a whim we hooked up and didn't have a fire alarm. That night.
Nice. Yeah.
That was fun.
That was fun. That was fun.
That was a very different time when you just think about like,
Oh,
I don't want to be like the old farts that talk about the heyday, right? Like, because everybody has their
Yeah.
own
But it
heyday.
was.
But there was really something magical about that time where everybody sort of found each other. These events started. Woodwork in America was just like an experience that, there's nothing like it anymore. Even woodworking in America isn't like woodworking in America was.
No. You know what though? Handworks when it happens is pretty close.
It does touch on it. You're right.
It's
Yeah.
pretty close.
Are you going to
Yeah.
go this year?
Most likely. Yeah. We went the last time
Yeah,
and
come on.
really enjoyed it. It's driving distance where we live now in Missouri. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't find a good reason not to go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We've
Matter of
already booked
excuses.
our Airbnb.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep, we'll be there with. It should be fun. I don't know. I need to get Jamil on and talk about that coming up and all the stuff
yeah.
going on there. But anyway, so We'll look forward to seeing you there. But
Yeah, that'd be great.
back to the early days.
Yes.
One of the things I like on Wood Talk is, I'm probably the only one, but when y'all do all the behind the scenes type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I actually like that content.
Okay.
Now, bike talk, I'm not sure, but
Oh,
I got all my bikes right here if you want to talk about them.
yeah. Let's talk bikes.
They're in the room with me.
They're listening.
yeah, I used to be into bikes when I was younger, and I got a Trek I ride around, but that's about it. But I used to have like 2 or 3 specialized bikes back in the day, but I don't even know if it's I don't even pay any attention. Specialized still a
Oh, yeah.
brand? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Trek, Specialized, those are all brands that are still. I ride Trek primarily. So.
Okay.
My buddy's got a bunch of Specialized, but yeah, they're still pretty big.
Yeah, I hear y'all mention brands. I'm like, I don't know who that is, all these.
It's a lot of new brands too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a giant mountain bike and a Jamis road bike.
Nice.
Nah.
See, now you're turning this into bike talk, Kyle.
Let's talk
and you,
bikes.
Exactly.
You just said you didn't
exactly.
like it, and look what you did.
It's a nice carbon deal with Shimano. No.
Now, is there a podcast out there called Bike Talk? Because if not, there should be.
There really should be, and if there isn't,
Yeah.
if there is, I should be subscribed to it.
There might
Yeah.
be a bike whisperer.
I hope so.
Well, one of the things about you producing the online content is how did that change how you actually work in the shop? How did it change the processes that you were doing, or did it?
Well, it changed in a lot of ways because now you're documenting things
Mhm.
and you have to do it in a way that makes sense, right? Sometimes in the shop, we do things that make the most sense to us, but we don't have to explain it to anybody. When you have to explain it, suddenly you have to think in terms of what does the story say? What kind of story am I telling? Is it logical, the order that I'm doing things? So you do tend to overanalyze that stuff. I think the biggest change, though, and this is one that if I ever said that there was any major negative, or regret's a strong word because I don't believe in regretting the choices I've made, but if there were anything I would classify as that, one of the downfalls of doing this is making content made it difficult for me to progress as a woodworker. Just purely in getting better at the craft, diving deeper into the craft. Anybody who makes content and you look at like the magazines, right? They're a great example.
Mhm.
They were there for us early on. You progress with them. You subscribe for 5 years, and then suddenly you go, another Dovetail article? Didn't we just do that?
Yep.
And you start to realize there's a cycle that they have to hit. And the
Mhm.
reason is because there are always new woodworkers coming in, and the new woodworkers are the ones who are the most likely to buy a copy of a magazine. The ones that are in the craft for 10 years, who have heard everything they need to hear about dovetails, and now they just want more advanced stuff every single issue, those are fewer and further between. There just aren't that many of them to justify, so it's harder for the magazine to monetize. So content creators kind of can find themselves in the same trap where you focus on the things that you know and you want to teach competently. So you tend to stay in your wheelhouse and you venture too far out. And yeah, it's fun to experiment and then show failures. I show failures all the time, but I'm not really stretching myself because, like I had alluded to before, I spent months worrying about making ads, so that we could sell some sandpaper just because that's what I need to do to keep the business alive. Things have grown to this thing that I don't feel like I run the business so much as the business runs me these days in terms of what I do. So spending let's say a few months because I decided I want to learn marquetry and get really good at it. Well, that's not in the cards. I can't really do that. If I had a day job and I was just doing this on the weekends, then yeah, maybe every weekend I could spend a couple hours working on a marquetry piece and getting better at it. It's just, you would think having this much time to do woodworking would mean my woodworking would progress, exponentially. But for me, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, because you got to play to that market base that you have there, and a lot of that's beginners coming into the craft, and
It is. Yeah, my next big project is a beginner course for the Wood Whisperer Guild. The Guild is relatively advanced projects taught by not just me, but lots of instructors with, all different levels of skill and design language. But we don't have a jumping on point for folks like that. We just kind of go right to the advanced stuff. So I figured it would be great to start to design a course that will sort of walk people into it so that after this course, they are ready for any of those courses in the Guild. But again, what am I doing? I'm going to spend 6 months doing a beginner's course. right? Rather than me trying to figure out, some design thing, learn some design details so I could expand my design vocabulary or become better at a particular technique. It's hard to spend the time on stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the great. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, this new video course, will that kind of go along with your book?
So the books, I was actually talking to a marketing guy that we work with that helps us out a lot with navigating the new way of doing things. One of the things that we're going to be doing we'll be making videos that go with the existing books. So I have 2 books. Neither one of them have an accompanying video. They totally could and totally should. I just never had a chance to do it.
Yeah, they're good. They're pretty good books.
So, I mean, in a video form of that, I think would do really well. And we might even just use it for the purpose of selling books. Get this video for free when you buy a copy. The beginner's course is going to be, we decided as of today that it's not just going to be video, that there will be a book accompaniment that goes with it. So it'll be a package deal.
Nice.
Because even today, people still love a tangible thing in their hands, something they could take to the shop. Not that we can't take video to the shop, but ultimately, if you could page and leaf through a book, a lot of people still like that. So the beginner course will be, hopefully, if I can make it happen, will be that. It's just, speaking of the content stuff, it's really difficult to, especially in a one-man situation, to film and photograph and make sure this is all happening at the same time. Both of those formats at the same time can be pretty damn tricky to pull off, which is why I never made video of the books, because I was so focused on the photography. And I wanted to make sure the pictures look good. I did not have the bandwidth to also then repeat that process with the camera running, or with the video camera running.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a moving target, but if COVID showed us anything, it's that different people learn different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Some can sit in a classroom and just take notes and they'll get it. Some need to watch a video of it and then they'll get it, and everywhere in between. And so there's some secret mix to do that properly.
Absolutely.
I'm not quite sure what it is.
Yep. And also trying to sell this stuff these days, it's a lot harder to sell, let's say, $129 video course. Like in 2026, that's really hard to do.
Right.
If you said, buy the course now and you'll get our free book that comes with it, and it's a literal book with pages and paper.
And pictures.
And pictures and everything. There's a much better chance you're going to sell that. People want something to hold in their hands to show that they bought something. It doesn't matter how good the content is and how talented the instructor is that's teaching. It's a harder sell these days just for video alone.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think you have done within the guild is being able to bring some of those more advanced projects and instructors to the guild.
For sure.
And how did that start? Now, you started the guild. I remember back in the day, it was an annual fee, and then you made it per project.
Yeah.
And
I bought a couple of those projects.
yeah. I would have probably be paying you still the annual fee, by the way.
Well, we shouldn't have stopped it. There are people on Patreon who'd stop making content, but they just let their Patreon thing go.
Exactly.
And folks don't notice. It's just on an auto bill on their credit card. And I'm like, man, that just seems wrong. Don't do that to people.
What was the CD thing back in the day?
Yeah, like Columbia House.
Columbia House. They're like, hey, you just get these 3 for a penny.
Yeah.
And then they snag you.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. What was your question
Sorry.
there?
Well, tell us about expanding the guild. So once you established the guild,
Sure.
you were doing the majority of all at first you were doing all the
It was all me.
projects, and then you had Matt come in. I think he was your first one, right?
Yep. So we did start it as a subscription because we weren't 100% sure what we were going to do. And at the time, that seemed like a logical thing to do. I'll produce 3 or 4 courses a year and you just get what I produce. But then I realized that I wanted to expand out and bring other people into that. One thing that's really hard to do is revenue share in a subscription model with other people. So how do I know how much of that money, let's just say it's just me and Matt, even just 2 instructors. How do I know what goes to him and what goes to me? If I have most of the courses there and he only has a few, there's no way I could divvy that up. So I was like, you know what? We have to switch to an a la carte system. You want this course, you buy this course. And this way, if we switch to a la carte, now someone buys Matt's course, he gets his percentage, I get mine, and it's just a flat share percentage every single sale. So that opened up the door once we kind of proved the concept with Matt to go to anybody. And we had an audience built in, and it was, we could guarantee a certain amount of sales for them, but we'd have to go to names that could also do their part of the marketing because someone wants to learn from a Chris Schwarz or a Daryl Peart. So that's kind of how it started. Like, let me go to some of my favorite woodworkers and say, hey, let me come to your shop for a week. I'll film. We'll sell this thing together. You will will, forever get a percentage split.
Mm.
We vowed to not do things like the big companies do, where they typically do like a cash payout, and then there's royalties. Not great, really favorable royalties, but for a short period of time, there's royalties. And then eventually they just own it and then they owe you nothing. In our case, we sign a percentage with them and they get that percentage forever. So if you ever buy one of Matt's courses, he will always get the same cut he always has gotten every single time. That was something that was really attractive for a lot of guest instructors to do.
Mhm.
They could do pretty well in the guild if they had a course there. So it was a change in the structure that allowed it to happen, though.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about the courses is, I guess, the question and answer you have. You have an ongoing forum basically with everything, and then
Yeah.
that constantly updated. So even if the course is like 10 years old, if you ask a
Yeah.
question, you're going to get an answer.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up Jamil from Benchcrafted, right? They
Yeah.
have made minor and some major modifications to their hardware since its inception. And we did a video on the split top Rubo with their original hardware, back with the little the leg vise before crisscross was was
Now
out,
everyone
right?
wants a crisscross. Yeah.
Everybody wants a crisscross, but that's changed like 3 times. So I will go back and completely revamp videos. And it's super weird because obviously I've changed a lot in 20 years. So you might sometimes like,
You won't believe how long this bench takes to build.
yeah, I'm still working on it.
I
It's a
lose
big
weight.
mortise.
I got more gray hair. It's
Yeah.
astounding.
So there will be times where like I'll pop in to fix a problem and then it just picks up where it left off because it was just one little detail that needed to be fixed. So we will go back and do that. I've got, there's the Adirondack chair course. I've done a refinish on it a couple different times, and it's just fun to see. Like, okay, 5 more years has gone by. Here's the condition of the chair. What are we going to do now? And it's due for another one, right? And each time it is hilarious, I guess, if you're watching it for the first time, because you literally get to see me age very quickly. But it is a neat way
If
to.
only you could have gotten a shot of the kids in each one.
Well, yeah,
just,
right.
Like blatantly show time passing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah. So, but it's a great format as a repository for this kind of information in a way that, like, it's, most other people wouldn't care to go back to a thing like that and either fix it or update it. But to me, I think it's cool to be able to have the flexibility to tell that story, and people can leave comments on the videos. We've got a forum inside the guild. There's tons of communication going on in there.
I mean, it's phenomenal that you're even doing that. I mean, that has to be very, very unique. Imagine, if films were reshot because, hey, filming technology is advanced, let's do it again.
Right.
Some have done that somewhat, but like no one's remaking The Wizard of Oz because The Wizard of Oz was 100 years ago. And boy, could we make it look better? Yeah, 100% we could.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do it.
Right.
But you're doing something that's like keeping that education piece going because things do change. And that's
trying to keep it relevant as much as we can. Yeah. And it's tough because we've got now, my gosh, over 80 courses in the guild.
Oh my gosh, you do.
So our biggest problem now is actually continuing to sell all those courses. It isn't so much, hey, should we be adding more? It's a question of how do we get more people to know that they're there and make it easier for them to buy or more attractive for them to buy, because it's a massive library. And if we just could market it correctly, then we might not have to work so hard to constantly add new instructors and new projects. I still want to, but I don't want that to be like the only thing that moves the needle anymore.
Well, that brings me to an interesting question. So with today's social media, kind of the algorithm, the almighty algorithm, and all the stuff that it does to you, and it seems to be biased against any long form content. So are you, have you found any solutions to that? Are you still struggling with that, or?
We're still struggling.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge for anybody who wants to teach in-depth content or content of any substantial length. The audience is getting shorter attention spans, and it's maybe the tail wagging the dog because the platforms created this sort of situation, and it's like a dopamine fix for kids, and they're being trained on it. My kids alone, I'm watching their habits change and their attention spans change based on the types of content that they consume. The algorithm is built where in the past, just had a conversation with someone about this today, actually, about how different things used to be with the way that social media worked. You would subscribe to a person or you would follow a person. And then when you would go into that app, you would see all the people you follow in a timeline order, right? And that was great because I had full control. And now with the algorithm, it is making decisions for you. So if enough people haven't interacted with the piece of content you just posted, it's not going to get shared, even to the people who want to see it, who said they want to see it, but maybe they aren't. Like, there's a lot of people who don't click like, they don't leave comments, they don't interact, but those are the cues that tell the algorithm you're interested. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, especially if we have, let's say we have it in the scheme of social media, maybe my demographics sway a little bit older at this point. These are also people who are less likely to get involved in the comments and to use all the new features that give the platform hints that you want to see more of this stuff, right? So it does become this bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we have to decide, do we want to make the content that catches the eyeballs, completely change the way we do things, change our delivery style, even change the content that we cover, the subject matter that we cover, to game it so it works on this new sort of algorithmic platform? Or do we stay the course and continue to be the trusted resource we've always been and show people, the personality that we've always had, but also have a much smaller audience and a much smaller piece of the pie? And that is a struggle to decide which side of the line we want to be on, and trying to balance that.
Yeah, because one side requires a lot of work and a constant change. That's for sure. Yeah, and I mean, my engagement with social media in the last 5 years has plummeted just because I don't see the people that I want to see.
No,
and
no, you see everything. I go into Facebook and all I see are groups that I'm not in.
Yeah.
Like, they just keep like, look, I have groups I'm in. I have people I follow. I would like to see their stuff first, please. And I don't, they just push what they want you to see. And I find myself scrolling and I'm like, why am I even here? What am I doing in this app? And we're not the only ones. Like, a lot of people just kind of get disgusted with it.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to go into anything political, but our social and political landscape, as it's, sort of translated to social media, it's just a hellscape. I mean, who wants to be there? Like, you ever get off of social media and feel better than you did when you got on, right? Like, that doesn't happen. It's built to make us upset because negativity gets, it's more of a hook in you. So negativity definitely drives likes, and friction drives attention. And I'm just like, naturally, I mean, I'll poke the bear and I'll make jokes, but I don't really like to make division and friction amongst people who watch my videos, which is to my detriment, because if I did, my videos would do better.
It hurts the bottom line.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, even the jigs and stuff I sell, I'll post them out there, but it's just like, I don't do it for a living, just do it as a side hustle. And I just basically said, hey, if you know about them, if you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and there was a day though, if 10 years ago, you might have been able to do just way better because all the people who follow you would have gotten that message.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll sell something and we sell out. Like, it's a limited supply. We had these little squares by Tony at Hillview Wood and Metal. Beautiful squares. We only had 11 of them made and they sold out super fast. But I heard constantly from people like, I didn't even know this happened. And I'm like, well, that's the problem. Like, I can't control what the platform delivers to you.
Right.
Is a big challenge.
Exactly. So, yeah, it is. But anyway,
yeah.
One of the interesting things that I wanted to get from you is all the projects that you made for the Wood Whisperer. Is there one that stands out? Is there a turning point, one that's a personal favorite or something like that?
Yeah, probably a couple of them.
I mean, I got mine over my shoulder here. That's my first Wood Whisperer project.
Which one is that? Nice. Is that the shaker table?
Shaker's table.
Yeah, you know what? The shaker table was a big one because we had done that as a Woodworkers Fighting Cancer promotion.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen anything we've done get that many people involved in building. There you go, man. Building the same project at the same time. To this day, if I go to the guild and I look at the gallery for that, none of our courses have the number of people building it. And it was all for the charity, and specifically the gentleman, Dwayne, who has since passed away. What an amazing, that's the thing that, like, I don't even feel like that's possible today. That was back in that BYA sort of spirit that we had with a smaller group of people. I can't even say it was a smaller group. It was a large group of people who were very just dedicated to learning the craft and really got together and could get behind a cause like that. So you bring up a good one with that one. On a personal level, I would say the Maloof rocker. I think for anybody who's interested in building, that's just a mountain you want to climb at some point. And one more would be, I've done a lot of built-ins in the past couple of years and I hate them. and I'm scared of them. And I've never been trained by anyone who actually knows how to do it. I've just kind of figured out scribing and tried to take the fine woodworker's perspective and make it work in a space, which is a big challenge. But having done it a number of times now, I'm just glad that I kind of have it under my belt. It's something that I feel comfortable doing. So visually, it may not be the most impressive woodworking feat, but in terms of tackling a skill set that I didn't have and wasn't trained on, it makes me feel good. It was something that I feared before that now I'm just kind of, I just kind of don't like it, but I don't fear it.
Yeah. I feared for you sometimes during that closet build.
Man, I go in there and I still get chills. It's mostly because it's messy and she doesn't organize her clothes very well. But
No.
but don't tell her I said that. She doesn't.
No.
But yeah, that was a very small space and some very tall, massive cabinetry. That was a big one.
Mhm. Well, so are there any projects that you do, like the towel rack and stuff like that? You said you are filming that. That is going to be a project. Is there anything you make that you don't film?
Very little. And that's, something that I kind of feel guilty when I start doing something that I go, even if I filmed this, like I could do something with it, right?
Right.
And I think that's part of what sucks about it, because I think we should be able to just do a just for me kind of project, right? But every time I do that, I feel like it's a potential missed opportunity. I'll give you an example. So when my mom moved into her condo in Colorado, she had these old oak, cheap, like bottom of the barrel plywood red oak cabinets. Had that classic orangey looking finish on them.
Right.
We didn't have it in the budget to replace the cabinets. And I said, you know what? I could probably paint them. I mean, I'm not a professional painter, but I could probably get a finish on there that looks pretty good. And I was going to just get it done. And then Nicole mentioned something like, well, why don't you film it? I'm like, because who wants to learn how to paint cabinets from me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the first time I'm doing it. It's also painting cabinets, and my audience isn't going to love that. So, no, I don't think I want to do that. But I was talked into it, and I filmed it. And to this day, it is probably my most successful, numerically, statistically successful video I've ever done.
Wow.
And I almost didn't film it.
Yeah.
And this just goes to show you like how disheartening it is that the painting of kitchen cabinets, because it's kind of rage bait, made a more successful video than if I had kitchen from scratch and built it myself and made that the video, probably would have gotten 1% of the views that I've gotten because I painted it and I pissed a whole bunch of people off by doing that.
Was it that?
Well, not
or
only
was
that,
was
but
that more of the Pinterest, everybody watches that stuff kind of thing? Like,
Yeah, that's
it's
what I was
more
gonna bring up.
accessible
Yeah.
to paint your cabinetry than
It's
build new.
both. It's people who,
right.
because it was basically how to, I forget how I titled it, like painting old, outdated oak cabinets. It's something a lot of people want to do because you move into a place that has these cabinets and you'd like them to look nicer. So there's that half of the people. The other half are just there to tell me I'm a jerk because I painted wood. And I'll gladly accept the view, but
Yeah.
but it literally was rage bait for a lot of people.
Yeah. See, I get into that sometimes too, as far as I'll do something in the shop and I go, I should have at least taken a picture of that and
Yeah.
posted it, but I
Yeah.
don't.
But
it's
that's the thing. I wish I had the time to do that. It's just right now between family and not enough, man hours in the shop. If I'm doing something that could be content, it has to be content, unfortunately.
Now, at one time, I think you said like filming a project adds like 2 to 3 times amount of time. Yeah, have you gotten better? Is it only twice as much now? Or?
Yeah. I mean, these days it's almost hard
Yeah.
to tell because I don't build without the camera anymore, right? So I'm sure I've sped up and I've gotten faster. I will say that when we first moved here and my brother-in-law was working for me, we hit a groove with the two of us between filming and building that I was just cranking out projects. And it was so fulfilling. Like, all right, who wants a table? Who wants something? Who's next? And I would just go from family member to family member, knocking out projects left and right. So we did get faster for sure.
Yeah.
The question is whether it's like, I would still be faster if I didn't have to film it, but I definitely improved the workflow quite a bit. We've got gigabit internet at the shop now. So these large multi-terabyte files and stuff that have to get uploaded to my editor, those I can just kind of dump an SD card, put it back in the camera and keep rolling, right? So, but my timeline these days is mostly limited by, am I actually in the shop or am I home taking care of the family? Just real life stuff intervening.
Now, do you have any type of shop at at your house?
So I have a little bit of a makeshift bike shop. So I have to do work on my bikes and, maybe just some DIY house stuff. So I have some basic tools. Funny thing is today I was doing an Ask TWW video, and one of the questions was a guy wanted to know the pros and cons of having your shop not be attached to your house. He's got a basement workshop, a small fledgling business, and wants to know if it's worth it. He's looking at a place that's like 15 minutes away. He wants to rent it. And I kind of went through the pros and cons. And one of the cons is that if you do a home DIY project, it's really a pain in the butt when you don't actually have all of your tools just like right there ready to go. And so I was explaining that it can be a real challenge. You're either carting stuff back and forth or you're spending money on duplicate tools.
Yeah.
So what I have here is fairly limited. It is very much like classic DIY homeowner stuff, plus a guy who rides bikes and needs specialty bike tools to do repairs. But we'll see, because this beginner course that I'm doing, my plan is to do it here. I think if I try to do a beginner course and you see me standing in front of the shop that I currently have, but I'm using these smaller tools to do it, I don't know that it sells it quite the same way as me standing in a garage that looks like anybody's garage.
Right.
So eventually I may end up with at least some tools here. It won't be a full-fledged shop like I have at work, but it might improve a little bit.
Yeah, I guess, was it the first or second move you did in Phoenix or the Phoenix area where you actually worked out of a garage for a short period of time?
Yep. So, I mean, it's always been garages. It just, some have been very big garages.
Yeah, well, the first was, what was it, like a 4-car garage with an RV?
Yeah, it was a 5-car RV garage with a pull through. Yeah, that was insane. But that was a reason to move there, right? Like we saw that and I was like, okay, I'm in love. I don't care that it's in the middle of the desert. It's fine. So yeah, we're in between moves. We moved into a new house, but we couldn't offload the old house. But I still moved the shop. We were building the dream shop on the property, but in the meantime, I still needed to build and film. So it was a 3-car garage, and I just packed everything that I could pack in there and did the best I could in that space. And it was fine. We weren't there for long. The shop didn't take too long to get built, but it was a good interim solution. And then after Arizona, of course, I went back into a garage shop, and this was just a sort of linear 4-car garage shop, and fit a surprisingly large amount of stuff in that space. It was actually a pretty good shop space that I rather enjoyed. So no regrets on that one.
Well, cool. Well, so what's your favorite shop space?
I got to say my current one,
Your current one?
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't, I don't believe in the whole regret thing. So, you would think the dream shop would have been a favorite, but the problem was I really found that a space that I create, like a brand new space, it was a 60 by 30 building. I was terrified to commit. And what it really needed was a separate office space. It needed a finishing room. It needed like spaces that were separated for purpose. And the problem was I was scared to death to make that commitment. So it was a big 60 by 30 warehouse, and I just never pulled the trigger. So even though I spent a lot of time in that space, before we moved, I looked around and I'm like, man, I never executed any of the stuff that I said I was going to do. But put me in this firehouse shop, there's already walls. There's already a space for an office. There's a kitchen area. And I now have to make do with what's presented to me. And I'm actually much more efficient in that environment than I am with a blank canvas for a shop space. So yeah, the firehouse, there's a lot that I do not like about it, but it's pretty cool. Just the amount of room that we have, the division of spaces, the fact that my mom and my wife can work separately in their office while I have my office, and we all have a kitchen that we can share. Yeah, I don't know that every firehouse would be appropriate for a wood shop, but my gosh, I think most of them probably would make amazing shops.
Interesting.
Crucial miss is there's no active fire pole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so there is a loft. I mean, we did think about putting one there for that, but they have I don't think firemen are the best construction people because they did a lot of the work inside there, but there is a ladder / stairwell. So I don't know what it wants to be. It feels more like a ladder.
Okay.
But the slope is just, it's intense.
Way steep. Yeah.
Yeah, way steep. And so at some point, we're going to probably correct that. But there is a loft that would be an area where we could have a pole. I mean, the pole would probably be just as safe as the ladder that's there now. So
sure. There you go. And it's only down. You need the ladder up and then the pole down.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's true. It would be kind of tough to climb if I had to.
Yes, very.
Well, that's great. Well, before we let you go, I do want to do a look ahead. So what are you most excited about, in the future for the Wood Whisperer and yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's mostly just kind of owning where we have to go.
Mm.
I've struggled against where I want to go with our business. And the reality is what I want to do sort of goes by the wayside. It's what do we need to do? And then still try to not lose the heart of who we are as a family and as a business. So one of the things that we need to focus on more is physical product. In the past, I'd never wanted to do that. I would rather sell a digital course than ship something out. There's always so much cost involved in physical product. But these days, with the market that we're in, physical products definitely help the bottom line big time. So there are a number of products that we have in development, or there's just so many cool people that you can work with these days who are great at their craft, who can make like custom things, whether it's an apron or a square or just specialty tools that we could have branded with the Wood Whisperer logo, or an idea for something that I've got in my mind that I want to bring to market. So I think we're going to be turning a large part of our focus toward providing some just top of the line great products that we believe in, and using our store to sell them. One thing we actually just released this week are these little clamp pads. So you guys have like Bessie or Jet parallel clamps. These are just small rubberized cork stick-on pads that go onto the face. And this wasn't something I'm like, oh, let me come up with this great idea to sell to people. I wanted this on all of my clamps. I was tired of my clamps slipping. I was tired of them denting, especially if I'm using like a softer wood. If they're just even skewed a little bit, you'll get that nice line, especially if you use, like, I wound up using a lot of Western red cedar, pretty soft stuff. You clamp it, it's going to dent. So I wanted something that would be a little softer, but provide a little bit of grip, and went through the process of finding a company that could make it and getting the material we wanted with adhesive that was strong enough to do the job. And then now we have these little things, we call them True Grip clamp pads. And they're just a little stick-on thing that goes inside the face of the clamp. You put them on both sides, and it's kind of a game changer for the functionality of the clamp. So little things like that, just little improvements, things that I find that work for me in the shop that would make great products, and just try to bring those to market. And of course, continuing to do all the content and things that we've always done, but trying to facilitate sales of additional products.
You're the reason I bought Jet clamps. And so
Nice.
I probably have to buy some of these.
You're going to love them, man. They're pretty great. I really enjoy having them.
For sure.
Yeah, I actually added them to our next episode because I saw y'all released episode today, and I started listening to it. Go, oh, he's got a new product out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Now, have you ever had any issues with your Jet clamps?
I broke a handle once because I dropped it, so that's on me.
I have a slipping issue with like 4 out of 8 of mine.
My F style, I've had a couple slip, but not.
No, these are the parallel clamps. the with the little.
I've heard of that. I certainly have heard of people having slippage issues. I've never had that happen. Now, all of mine are pretty early. I probably haven't bought a clamp.
Yeah, this is something, because I heard y'all mentioning this too. But the ones that don't slip are all the bright red ones. The ones that do slip are all the maroon ones.
No kidding. Interesting. All right. Yeah, they do have distinct color differences, but I have yet, even on the darker ones, haven't experienced a slip issue. So have you dug into the details to see if you could figure out what?
I've tried to take it apart, but I haven't. I've done, I've cleaned the bars, I've, roughed up the bars, I've tried to do everything I can. And sometimes it'll help for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll come back, it's just like, okay. Yeah. And I broke a handle on one of those clamps because I got so frustrated with it. I threw it across the shop.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Right.
Like,
the thing, like, I think if I were buying today and stocking up my shop today, I probably would go with Bessie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the main reason is, like, Bessie is a company that makes clamps, and they make lots of varieties of clamps, and they kind of give a crap about their clamps. Jet, I feel like, I don't know the history of it, but I feel like what happened was someone got a patent for a clamp in China or Taiwan or wherever, and they said, hey, we can make these too. So they started making them, and they have never
I like
changed them.
the little handle.
Like the clutch thing. It's a great design, right? But they haven't done anything to it. And if you look at the earlier ones, you can see some differences in how they were molded. So I think they have made changes to try to make them cheaper, but they still kind of look the same. But they have done zero. There's no accessories. There's no changes, no improvements, and they just keep churning out the same clamp year after year. Whereas you look at a Bessie, and I've got no ties to either of these companies at this point. You look at a Bessie, they've evolved over time, and they have different editions of it, and they have accessories that work with their clamps. And it just makes me feel like they care about their clamps. Jet, this is just a line item, on their website. And it does seem like they've been making them cheaper, and the result might be clamps that are slipping. All my clamps are pretty early generation clamps, so I don't have any of that slipping issue.
Yeah, I probably haven't bought any in a decade or more. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton, but like the ones I have, I've never had that problem. But yeah,
Yeah.
it might be a thing.
Well, since I do chairs, I don't clamp that much. And
Right.
most of the stuff I do is rather small. So I do
Yeah.
have a lot of those Betsy, the itty bitty clamps that still have the wooden handles on them. The little
Nice.
itty
Yeah.
bitty
Yeah,
parallel
yeah.
clamps. I have like probably a dozen of those.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Those
Good,
work
those.
nice. But anyway, with that, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about your pursuits outside of woodworking.
Yeah.
More bike talk.
Yeah, let's talk about bikes, baby. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm an avid cyclist. I'm not a very good one, but I like doing it. I'm just generally super into fitness. Not that long ago, I mean, I've always done to some degree some kind of fitness and try to eat healthy. But when I found out I was pre-diabetic,
yeah, the last few years I've been seeing the guns. I mean,
yeah. I found out I was pre-diabetic, and this is just something that runs in my family. My grandma was diabetic. My mom's now diabetic. It's coming for me. Right. And I got the blood test results. Probably this is before my son was born that I got the first pre-diabetes warning. And I was like, man, like I'm already kind of eating healthy. I guess there's more sugar I could cut out. Let me do that too. But like if I don't take my fitness seriously and just kind of doing some research, it's the fitness and exercise that really does the heavy lifting for helping your body, process sugar properly. So I really started to take that super seriously. So this past year, I got 3,000 miles in on my bike.
Nice.
And I've to the gym at least 2 days a week. And now I'm just trying to see, now it's a work-life balance thing where I got to take my daughter to school. She's got to be there by 8 o'clock. If I want a full work day, like if I don't work out before I take her, then I got to leave work early and I got to leave at like 2 o'clock. Now my work day's cut short. So the only solution, and I don't love it, is like I got to get up at 5 o'clock. I mean, I'm sure some people do this routinely for work. So, wah for me. But I got to get up at 5 o'clock, get to the gym before, have enough time to get showered and get my daughter to school. Then I get my work day, but now my workout is done, right? And then I can actually have a full work day, which feels so good to like work till 5 o'clock and just get that full day in. And then, I'm exhausted when I get home, but at least I've gotten all of that stuff done. So anyway, this is a long way to tell you that one of my hobbies, I guess you could say, is fitness. I'm just kind of dedicated to trying to stay as fit as possible, and probably at almost 50, I would say I'm definitely in the best shape of my life, which is kind of weird.
That's phenomenal.
I do get hurt very easily though, because it's not that hard to injure myself. That's a problem.
Yeah. I'm about 10 years older than you, and it gets worse.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, and it's the healing that gets worse.
Yeah, it just
worse.
takes forever, right? Yeah.
I know.
And the thing is, and this is what I try to make sure, I tell Nicole and anyone I know, it's like, it's a use it or lose it thing. And if you lose your mobility in your 40s, it's not looking great, anytime after that. Like there's never been a better day to start than today, because every day after this, it just gets harder and harder and harder.
I've tapered off, but like in 2021, 22, I logged over 2,100 miles running in a year, which is it's like 5 miles a day. That's not enormous, but I did. But grand majority of that was 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes
I can do a 5 mile run at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's better than coffee. I come home, I shower, I went to work. And it just worked because it's also outside of the day.
Yeah, psychologically, it's a big factor too.
Yes.
When I have that under my belt for the day, and I've already done my penance, if you will, and I've the rest of the day, and then by the time it's time to put the kids down, and I'm exhausted, I've earned it. Like I put my work in, I put a full work day in, I got the exercise in, and boy, do I deserve the sleep I'm about to get. And there's just something calming about that for for your mindset.
You get to enjoy the other side of fitness pizza in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sean, you're the one that chugs a beer after your marathon run. So
yeah, absolutely. You earn it, damn it.
Hey, yeah. There's times where I don't drink soda, but if I go on like a 50, 60 mile ride, that day I might have a soda with my lunch.
Yes.
There you go.
A guy told me years ago, and this is when I was kind of heavy into mountain biking, like single track stuff, that like some study has been done that after X amount of effort, your body just takes what it needs and spits out what it doesn't. And so you can just slam McDonald's and soda and all you want. And the benefit in the first hour after is exactly the same as if you were doing it carefully.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how true it is, so don't quote me, but like,
if it gets a Big Mac in my stomach, I believe it.
Do it. Go for a hard ride and just like swing by McDonald's on the way home. I almost promised you that you wouldn't notice the difference.
Well, and I could tell you, there's one guy on our rides, our Saturday rides. The store owner actually is a full-on diabetic. Has like the little monitor thing that he has to wear. We are in the middle of a 50-mile ride, and we stop at a Circle K. Everybody's fueling up, and I see him drinking a soda, and I was like, "Dude, really? Are you allowed to do that?" He's like, "At this point in the ride, he will just chew through that glucose. It is not a problem at all. But that is the only time he can do that."
Exactly.
It's pretty wild.
And then if you get all European about it, the idea of a cafe ride is exactly that. They ride to a cafe, they have a baguette and a coffee, and then they continue their ride.
Yeah. Like, permission to eat junk food.
Exactly.
Well, fantastic. Well, with that, Mark, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, of course. thewoodwhisperer.com is our primary website. I'm usually at Wood Whisperer on just about any social platform, and if that wasn't available, at The Wood Whisperer. But most of them, it's at Wood Whisperer. Of course, the Wood Whisperer Guild is a place where you can go if you want to get really high-level courses, detailed courses from instructors all around the country. Really amazing instructors that we have in there. And for products and things like we were talking about, the little clamp pads, also my books, all that stuff you could find at twwstore.com.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on to our fortnightly beer choices. Well, I'm once again just drinking my house beer, which is Guinness. And with that, Jeff, what flavor of iced tea are you drinking today?
Unsweet.
Oh, Gold Peak. That's the stuff.
Sean, what about yourself?
Just like you, man. It's the house beer. It's Miller Lite for me. Mark, what are you sipping on?
St. Louis Cardinals jug of water.
Yes.
To be as boring as I could possibly be.
Perfect. No, it's not boring. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not Woodworker's Fuel?
No, actually, you know what? I told them this question was coming. I told Nicole, and she's like, "Tell them you're drinking Woodworker Fuel coffee." It's like, so yeah, okay. By the way, we also have coffee that you can buy.
Nice.
Just not going to drink it at 8:30 at night.
Yeah. With that, Sean, what kind of feedback do we have?
Yeah, so what is this? Boys Resistant. That's a hard name. Sorry. It said, I listened to all the episodes. This is about our David Wright episodes of 590 and 591 episode numbers. I listened to all the episodes and find something in all of them, but this guest and the conversation was amazing. One of the best episodes of the MWA. I would like to hear a lot more about David. Phenomenal. Thank you for the feedback. Also on the same episode, Camber Atelier said, it's always interesting listening to the stories of people who practice their craft and really honed in on the specific area of work for most of their life. Nothing like a good old Appalachian woodworker. And I concur. That was fantastic. Thank you, sir. And Bill's Yard. Thank Bill, friend of the show. Thanks, guys. So good to listen to it twice.
Bill.
It's not Bill.
It's Alex, I think.
It's Alex. Thanks, guys. So good to listen. I listened to it twice. 3 thumbs ups. Thank you, sir. And Joe Rubber Bass said, another great one, guys. Keep up the good work. And thank you, sir, for your comment. If anybody listening, would you like to hear your comment read on the show, comment please on Instagram, on your podcatcher, no matter where you can find our show, just type it in. I actually heard, and this is an unnamed, because I don't even know the guy's name, but my son is working at a nuclear facility currently in his job. Anyway, it's not scary. He's like, hey, Dad, you got a new listener. I said, what? He goes, oh, we were talking and I mentioned this and that. I was like, hey, have him comment on Instagram. He goes, he doesn't have an Instagram. I'm like, oh, okay. To that guy, if you hear this, thanks.
And that just about wraps it up for this show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. Just search for the Modern Woodworkers Association. And while you're there, please leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at MWA_podcast. And if you'd like to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/MWA podcast. But the best thing you can do is tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way in sharing our discussion.